The Fisherman and His Wife. There once was a fisherman who lived with his wife in a tiny little hut by the sea. He went fishing every day, and he fished and he fished. And at last, one day, he felt something tugging on the end of his fishing line. He heaved, and he pulled, and he tugged. And what was on the end of the line? A flounder. Does anyone know what a flounder is?
No.
Yes.
It's a big fish.
It's a big, flat fish that lives at the bottom of the ocean. Now this flounder spoke to the fisherman and said, "Look here, fisherman, don't you kill me. I am no ordinary flounder. I am an enchanted prince. And I'm not very delicious anyway. So you should just throw me back in the water and let me swim about." The fisherman said, "Oh, don't worry. I would never eat a fish that can talk." And he threw the fish back in the water. And it sank down, down, down to the bottom of the sea. Then the fisherman got up and went back to his wife in the hut. "Husband," she said, "did you once again catch nothing?" "Oh no," he said, "all I caught was one flounder, but he said he was an enchanted prince, so I let him go." "Did you not wish for anything?" asked the good wife. "No," said the man, "what was there to wish for?" "Alas," she said, "isn't it a little awful to live in this tiny little hut? Go back and call him. You could have at least asked him for a clean cottage. Go back. Tell him, I want a pretty cottage. Surely he'll give us that." The man was not very willing to go, but he did not want to make his wife angry. So he went back to the sea, and he found that the water was no longer bright and shining and clear. It was dull and green.
Ew. Oh, gross.
He stood by it and he called out, "Flounder, flounder in the sea, pray thee hearken unto me. My wife Isabel will have her own way, no matter what I wish or what I say." And what do you think came floating up from the bottom of the sea?
Flounder. The fish. Flounder.
"Well, what do you want?" asked the flounder. "Alas," said the man, "I had to call you, for my wife said I should have wished for something when I caught you before.
You're not reading the book.
She doesn't want to live in our miserable hut any longer. She wants a pretty cottage." "Go home again, then," said the flounder. "She has her wish." The man went home, and he found his wife was no longer in the old hut, but a pretty little cottage stood in its place, and his wife was sitting on a bench by the door. She took him by the hand and said, "Come and look in here. Isn't this much better?" They went inside, and they found a beautiful living room. They found a bedroom with a nice bed. They found a kitchen with a large refrigerator. And outside there was a little yard with chickens and ducks. and a little garden full of fruits and vegetables. "Look," said the woman, "isn't this nice?" "Yes," said the man, "and let it so remain. We can live here very happily." "We'll see about that," said the woman, and with that they ate something and went to bed. Well, everything went well for the next week or so, but then the wife said, "Listen, husband, this cottage is a little cramped, and the garden is too small. The flounder could have at least given us a bigger house.
Here we go.
I want to live in a big stone castle. Go to the flounder and tell him to give us a castle."
Ooh. A big castle.
"Alas, wife," said the man,
That's
"the
mine.
cottage is good enough for us.
Salem Quinn.
What would we do with a castle?" "Oh, never mind," said the wife. "Just go and ask him. He'll take care of that." "Nay, wife," said the man. "The flounder gave us the cottage. I don't want to go back, as likely he might be a little angry." "Go all the same," said the woman. "He can do it easily enough. Just go." The man's heart was heavy. He did not want to go. He said to himself, "It's not right." But eventually, he went. And he found, this time, the sea was no longer green. It was still calm, but it was a dark violet and gray color. And he called out and said, "Flounder, flounder in the sea, pray thee, hearken unto me. My wife Isabel will have her own way, no matter what I do or what I say." "Now what do you want?" asked the flounder. "Alas," said the man, a little nervous. He said, "My wife wants a big stone castle." "Go home again," said the flounder. "She's standing at the door of it." He couldn't believe it, but he went home, and he didn't find the cottage. He found a great stone palace, and his wife was standing at the top of the steps. She took him in and said, "Come in with me." The palace was covered with marble, and on the walls were beautiful paintings, and there were golden chairs and tables, crystal chandeliers, very soft rugs, every kind of PlayStation and Xbox, and on the tables in the dining room was very yummy food and their favorite flavors of Kool-Aid. Outside the house was a great courtyard with horses and cows and carriages, and a garden with the loveliest flowers. "Now," said the woman, "aren't you glad we asked for this?" "Oh, yes," said the man, "and let it so remain. We can live in this beautiful palace and be content." "We'll think about that," said the wife. "Let's go to bed." And they went to bed. The next morning, the wife woke up first. The sun was rising. She looked out the window and she saw the beautiful countryside. Her husband was still asleep, but she nudged him and said, "Husband, get up. Look out the window. Look, what if we were king of this whole land?
King and queen.
Go to the flounder. We will be king." "Alas, wife," said the man, "why should we be king? I don't want to be king." "Ah," said the wife, "then if you don't want to be king, I will be king.
No, you don't.
Go to the flounder. I will be king." So the man went. But he was very sad because his wife wanted all these things. It's not right, he said. It's not right. When he reached the sea, he found that the water was dark, gray, rough, and evil smelling. He stood there and he said, "Flounder, flounder in the sea, pray thee hearken unto me. My wife Isabel will have her own way. Whatever I wish, whatever I say." "Now what does she want?" asked the flounder. "Alas," said the man, "she wants to be king now." "Go back, she is king already," said the flounder. So he went back and he found that the palace was even larger than before, and a tower had been added to it. There was a guard at the door and soldiers playing drums and trumpets. When she got inside, everything was marble and gold, and his wife was sitting on a throne made of gold and diamonds. Now this throne was 2 miles high, and it was guarded by soldiers. Some of them were giants, some of them were medium size, some of them were miniature size. And he stood before her and looked up, and he said, "Wife, are you king?" "Yes," she said, "now I am king." He looked at her for some time and said, "Ah, wife, it is a fine thing for you to be king. Now we don't have to wish for anything more." "We'll think about that," said the woman, and they went to bed.
Here we go again.
She could not sleep. She tossed and she turned all night. And just as she was about to fall asleep, the sun rose and the light kept her from sleeping. She looked outside, out the window, and she saw the sun was rising. What if I could cause the sun and the moon to rise? "Husband, wake up! Husband, wake up! Go to the flounder! I will be Lord of the universe!" "What did you say?" "Husband," she said, "if I cannot be Lord of the universe, if I cannot cause the sun and the moon to set and to rise, I will not be able to bear it. I will never have another happy moment." And she looked at him so wildly that it caused him to shudder. "Alas, wife," he fell on his knees before her. "The flounder cannot do that. He can make you king, but this is beyond him. Please control yourself and be content with what you have." The wife flew into a rage. Her hair stood on the end, and she panted for breath. And she screamed, "I cannot bear it any longer! You must go now! Go to the flounder!" The man threw on his clothes, and he tore away like a madman. The storm was raging, and he could hardly keep from falling over. The houses and the trees, they shook and they swayed, and the mountains trembled, and the rocks rolled into the sea. The sky was pitch black, and it thundered and lightened. The sea had white and black waves 2 miles miles high. And they were as high as mountains, and they were crested with white foam. And he called out over the noise. He could barely hear himself. And he said, "Flounder, flounder in the sea, pray, hearken unto me. My wife Isabel will have her own way. No matter what I do or what I say." "Now what does she want?" asked the flounder. "Alas," he said, "she wants to be Lord of the universe." "Now she must go back to her old hut," said the flounder, "and you will find her there." And they lived in that hut for the rest